The government said from day one there's a process of consultation. I have urged the companies to go in and open their books, both big and small, because there are technical issues to be resolved. But when it comes to the headline rate of taxation, the same as the petroleum resource rent tax is 40%, we think that's a fair level of taxation for the Australian mining industry.
So 40%, no movement?
No movement at all. But look, let's be realistic. The mining companies also have very much acknowledged to me that they've had a good decade. They're not out there arguing that they shouldn't pay more tax. The only people arguing that the mining industry should not pay more tax at the moment is Tony Abbott and the opposition. The world has moved on. The Australian community expects this sector that has done exceptionally well out of the development of our national resources. We only get one chance to develop our national resources to actually pull their weight to pay more tax.
OK, well, let's accept then the argument that the mining industry accepts it has to pay more tax. At what point should it kick in? Is there any movement on the roughly 6% at which it becomes a super profit?
Look, the government's clearly awaiting a report from the high-level consultation committee.
So there could be movement?
I'm not prepared to suggest that there's any movement, but we will await the outcome of those discussions. I simply say that, you know, there are different issues from different companies' point of view, from different industries' point of view. We will sit down and assess the outcome of that process of consultation.
So is that the point at which there might be a little bit of wriggle room, is on the 6% before it kicks in?
I'm not, the government's not in a position to make ad hoc decisions on the run. We'll consider the outcome of consultations. They are genuine consultations. That is one of a variety of issues that the company has raised with me and the Treasurer. But in terms of getting this right, let's go through a proper process, because this is exceptionally important to Australia's future. It's just not about the level of taxation that the mining industry should pay. It's also about a lot of support we want to give small and medium-sized businesses in Australia, including the capacity of all Australians to improve their right to retire with some decency through increased superannuation payments.
One of the suggestions being made is that the threshold level for it to be seen as a super profits tax goes from 6%, say up to 10 or 11%, and there is a trade-off somewhere else in the structure. Might that be the way out of this?
There are a variety of suggestions. Can I also say the suggestions vary from company to company. Take the coal seam methane industry. We've got to be very careful. We've got one group of companies suggesting one outcome, because that's about them trying to get a jump on another company. So, you know, we also got to be very careful as we go through these negotiations and considerations of what is right for Australia to make sure we don't get caught in the intercompany games about how one gets a jump on over one another. OK, one of the other issues is retrospectivity. Is there any movement on that? Look, retrospectivity is the nature of how royalty changes in royalties have occurred in the past. The last couple of years we've seen an increase on existing royalties out of Queensland and New South Wales with respect to the coal industry. We're also just about to see in Western Australia a decision by the Western Australian Premier and Treasurer, Colin Barnett, to increase iron ore royalties across existing operations on BHP and Rio by about 700 to 800 million a year, with effect from the 1st of July of this year. So retrospectivity is not something that is ruled out, because it's been the nature of changing royalties in the past. And also remind you, the Mining Council itself, which represents companies such as BHP, Rio, Anglo, Fortescue, etc., they actually argued for this tax system, a profit-based tax system, because they actually believe it is better for them in the long run. That's not what they're arguing to you right now, though, and the mining industry sees you as one of the few potential friends in this government, because you do get out and talk to them. And Mitch Hook was quoted as saying Martin Ferguson is a pivotal figure in the resolution of this issue. Because of that, how would you resolve this? Clearly I am the Minister, but can I also say I'm a member of Cabinet. The mining industry has basically been doing what I've asked them to do since the 2nd of May. Treat the negotiations as genuine, open the books, assist Treasury in modelling it. But also remember this, that consultation committee has no capacity to negotiate or make changes. Any changes will be made by the government, because that is our responsibility and we must get it right. But at the end of the day, unlike the opposition, we actually believe the Australian community is entitled to a fair return on the development of its resources. We get one chance to develop those resources. It's only the opposition, led by Tony Abbott, who basically says economics is boring, who's arguing that the mining industry should not pay more taxation in Australia. You can't be seen as a government, though, to backflip on this. You're committed. The backflip on the ETS
was too damaging to allow another backflip. Is that a fair read of the politics of this?
Tax debate's always very tough. We've said from day one there's a capacity to refine the announcements of the 2nd of May. We appropriately established a consultation committee to talk to industry, but the Treasurer and the Prime Minister and I have also been engaged in detailed consultations with individual companies, and we will consider the outcome of those discussions. There will be a profit-based tax in Australia. The headline rate is going to be 40%, but there are refinements that can be made to make the tax more appropriate and balanced from a mining industry point of view, whilst getting an appropriate outcome from the Australian community's point of view.
OK, we're going to take a break. When we return with the panel, we're going to talk about the class warfare issues, among others. Also, when do Prime Ministers ever learn? Sport is best left, at least when the cameras are rolling, to the folks who know what they're doing.
Now, if this is bad, this is the one they'll run.
They're just waiting for you to fall over.
Yeah, I do. I had to cop that in the head then.
This case will bring out a side.